In recent weeks, the speculators have been waging an all-out war on the American dollar. The strength of a nation's currency is based on the strength of that nation's economy. And the American economy is by far the strongest in the world.
No technological revolutions were necessary to create money. Belief in money was merely a change of perspective, a fresh turn in reality that enables others to take part in this narrative. The notion of a method for consistently valuing one thing in exchange for another. The history of money has changed throughout the many millennia. Small towns bartered, then entire kingdoms minced metal coins, and finally, the first usage of paper money in China. However, it wasn't until the 1900s that the United States issued its first dollar backed up by gold reserves, and it was at this point that nations all over the world began to accept this new narrative, an idea that would eventually change the nature of the financial system as we know it. The Bretton Woods Agreement, which established the US dollar as the world's reserve currency and ushered in a new era of economic transformation, was signed by 44 nations in 1944. But little did the world realize that everything was about to change in less than 30 years. In August 1971, President Richard Nixon gave the famous speech that shocked people all over the world. I have directed Secretary Connolly to temporarily suspend the convertibility of the dollar into gold or other reserve assets, except in amounts and conditions determined to be in the interest of money stability and in the best interest of the United States. The United States suddenly got rid of the gold standard. The US dollar was no longer backed by a lot of shiny yellow metal. Instead, it was backed by faith and trust in the US government. The belief that Federal Reserve will make decisions about money that will always keep the world economy in balance. New York is the world's financial center, and you need US dollars to do business here or anywhere else in the US. Every transaction in US dollars goes through a clearing system in the United States. This means that when it comes to global trade, whole countries, companies worth trillions of dollars, and even people are at the mercy of the US dollar. In all of history, no empire has ever been so easily able to control the world's financial system. The United States has the power to bring those who are against it to their knees, and all of this is possible because of one document. In 2001, President Bush signed Executive Order 13224, which gave the United States the power to kick anyone out of the global financial system. In 2015, when China tried to get out of the financial grip of the dollar, the value of the yuan went down. In 2018, one negative tweet from President Trump about the Turkish lira caused it to lose more than 18% of its value in a single day. After the US put sanctions on Iran in 2019, the SWIFT network, which lets payment be sent anywhere in the world, stopped Iranian banks from using it. Soon after, the Iranian economy crashed. You can say enough about how powerful the US dollar is because the US can bring down whole economies if they want to. But that could all change soon. But let's go back to when the United States got rid of the gold standard and rest of the world asked the Federal Reserve to keep the world's financial system in balance by printing just the right amount of money to keep the economy growing at the right pace, neither too slowly nor too quickly. But what does this really mean? Making more money. It's a crazy idea that you won't fully grasp until you think about it this way. When we write a check, it won't go through unless we have that amount of money in our bank accounts. But when the Fed writes a check, the money does not come from anywhere else. There is no bank account where these funds are kept. When the Federal Reserves write a check, they're making money. Each time they do this, the value of the money that is already in circulation goes down. With the same amount of money, you can buy less and less each year. For example, even though your paychecks are much bigger than they were 40 years ago, your real average income hasn't changed much since 1978. This is because inflation has made your money worthless. The astonishing part is that we continue to think too tiny. We have too much domestic thought. As the world's reserve currency, the US dollar is held by almost all nations, whether they are Reserve Bank of Australia, the Bank of Japan, or the Central Bank of England. The US government is aware of this and actively enjoys it when these countries' reserves lose value every time the US issues additional money. They enjoy taking on debt to fund their spending habits and enable them to print more money to pay off their debts with more affordable currency. But the startling acceleration of everything didn't occur until 2020. In order to support its flattering economy and prevent a complete collapse, the United States became more aggressive in its money production to the point where 40% of all US dollars in circulation today were produced in the previous year. Unprecedented levels of inflation are beginning to undermine the very basis upon which the US dollar is based. With its unrestricted monetary policy and unlimited money printing, the US state is known around the world to be in precarious situation at the moment. There are warning indications that the nation all over the world are becoming wary and are progressively pushing back as the United States continue to flex its monetary muscle by imposing economic blockades and sanctions. Moreover, as you know, we have substantial gold and foreign currencies reserve which we keep in securities, and the bulk of these securities are dominated in dollars simply because the market of dollar-denominated securities is the largest in the world. I'm not sure this is a good thing, not because we don't like the dollar, but because it makes us very dependent on the US economy. Dmitry Medvedev. This was 2014 when Russian Prime Minister Dmitry Medvedev discussed lowering Russia's dependency on the US dollar. But this isn't the breaking news. Since 2009, when it first branded the US dollar an unstable currency, Russia has attempted to deassociate itself from it. However, Russia has been discreetly developing a grand strategy to weaken the impact of the US currency since 2000, storing considerable amounts of gold every year. In just 20 years, Russia has increased its gold holdings from just under 350 tons to over 2,200 tons, while lowering its holdings of the US dollars. Furthermore, for the first time ever, Russia revealed in 2021 that it now has more gold in its reserve than the US dollars. But that's just the beginning. Russia out with an abrupt statement, it moves ruble with dollar ruble stronger. Marvin, I don't know if you've seen it, but Russia plans to call her holdings in the wealth fund to zero. What is the symbolism of Russia that says we don't want dollars? Russian Minister of Finance. In June 2021, the Russian Minister of Finance said that the National Well-Being Fund, which is worth $120 billion, would stop investing in the US dollar and start investing in the euro and gold instead. All of these small steps and announcements are also all part of the mastermind plan as a whole. The plan is slowly weaken the power of the US dollar. Russia isn't the only country that does this though. In January 2021, the European Union sent out a plan for promoting the euro and strengthening its position so that it can become the world's reserve currency and directly compete with the US dollar. It has a lot of support in Europe, especially since the US put sanctions on Iran in 2019. These sanctions hurt European banks and companies that do business in that area. Is this enough though? Will these two powers have enough power to change the way things are done in the financial world? Most likely not. However, there is a last piece of puzzle that is still missing. The country that started it all has the world's second largest economy. It's the world's largest trading nation and made first paper money more than 1,000 years ago, China. China wants to change the way all currency work, but they know that they won't be able to do that as long as the US dollar is the world's main currency. China knows that if they play by the traditional rules, they won't be able to win because the United States controls the rules and the playing fields. So instead, on October 24, 2019, this happened. On Friday, Chinese President Xi Jinping stressed the role of cyber technology in quickening economic development and innovation. He said it's essential to promote related research and core technologies to give China an edge in sector. Xi believes blockchain can play a key part in the real economy as it helps address financing difficulties and financial risk. After the speech, blockchain technology became a national priority in China and a project to digitize their traditional currency was initiated. China is now testing its digital currency in Shanghai and Guangdong and plans to deploy it in the 2022 Winter Olympics. China is driving digital revolution and tends to increase worldwide acceptance and develop a new playing field, rules, and game to challenge the US dollar. In the coming decades, it becomes increasingly probable that countries will rise up and exert greater pressure on the US dollar as the world's reserve currency. Similar to the British and Roman empires, All great empires eventually fall due to currency devaluation, power disputes, and governments as seen by history. Even though the United States has established a brand new precedent in worldwide financial dominance, this will only delay the inevitable and not stop it. The only question is when the US dollar will be replaced by the new global currency. Still, it is only a matter of time, even if a series of unexpectedly large events must occur in rapid succession. However, until that occurs, the truth is that US dollar is currently in control. It is nearly impossible to do anything outside of it, regardless of whether you are a nation, a trillion-dollar corporation, or an individual. The US dollar is still the unquestioned reserve currency and maintains a firm grasp of the global financial system. But there may be something else occurring with the United States that might change everything. Something is festering enough that the US demise may not require the involvement of other nations, but rather something within their borders. That's all for today. What are your thoughts on the US dollar? Join the conversation in the comment section below. Please click the like and subscribe button if you enjoyed the video. We'll see you in the next one.